Let me confess something to you, and only to you. I have the guns.
Tommy Shelby said this to Malaki Byrne in Season 1, Episode 5 of Peaky Blinders, after being threatened with death and hell's fury, after being told he'd been found guilty by the IRA, after listening to a high-ranking Irish Republican Army officer explain exactly how the Peaky Blinders were going to be destroyed. And then Tommy just admitted it, confessed, gave Byrne exactly what he wanted, except he didn't. Because Tommy wasn't playing the game Byrne thought they were playing. Byrne was playing threaten the local gangster until he gives up the guns. Tommy was playing use the IRA's own arrogance to set up a kill. This scene perfectly demonstrates how Tommy Shelby operates. He doesn't fight on his opponent's terms. He changes the entire framework of the confrontation. And by the time his enemy realizes what game they're actually in, they're already dead. Let's examine exactly how Tommy manipulated this entire encounter, why Byrne never saw the trap, and what this reveals about Tommy's strategic mind. The setup: Byrne's arrogance. The scene begins with Malaki Byrne entering the Garrison pub. Tommy knows he's coming. There's been a parlay arranged through Tommy's man Curly. But watch how Byrne enters, not as a negotiator, as a judge arriving at sentencing. He references Ryan, his cousin who came to buy guns from Tommy and met with an accident. Shot dead. Byrne knows the Peaky Blinders killed him. He casually mentions being a member of the Irish Republican Army and watches Tommy's reaction, making sure Tommy understands who he's dealing with. Then he lays out his intelligence network. Your man Danny Owen talks a lot when he's drunk. He says the Peaky Blinders have the guns robbed from the factory down the road. We have men in the BSA factory. We have men who work in the police station. Every finger, Mr. Shelby, every finger in this city points in one direction. This is Byrne establishing dominance. He knows about the guns. He has sources everywhere. The IRA has infiltrated Birmingham. Tommy is surrounded. And then he delivers his verdict. Please don't mistake me for a fool. I am judge, jury, and executioner. I find you guilty. I pass sentence. Deliver the guns to me, or I deliver death and hell's fury to you and your little tribe of heathens. This is not a negotiation. This is an ultimatum from a position of overwhelming strength. The IRA versus a Birmingham street gang. No contest. Byrne is completely confident. And why wouldn't he be? He represents one of the most dangerous revolutionary organizations in the world. Tommy is just a local bookmaker with delusions of grandeur. The confession, giving him what he wants. After this crushing display of power, Tommy responds with what seems like complete submission. Let me confess something to you, and only to you. I have the guns, but they have become a burden to me. Perhaps it is time to unload that burden for the right price. On the surface, this looks like surrender. Tommy is admitting he has the guns. He's willing to sell. The IRA wins. But look at the language Tommy uses. Let me confess something to you, and only to you. This is intimate, personal. Tommy is treating Byrne like they're having a private conversation between equals, not a conquered gangster talking to his conqueror. And then, for the right price. Tommy just turned Byrne's ultimatum into a business negotiation. Byrne came to issue orders. Tommy is discussing prices. This is the first hint that Tommy is playing a different game. He's not scared. He's not begging. He's treating this like a transaction. What Byrne didn't know: the guns were bait. Here's what Malaki Byrne didn't understand. Tommy Shelby wanted the IRA to come for the guns. The stolen BSA munitions, Lewis machine guns, and enough belt ammunition to hold up God's trousers. As Danny Owen drunkenly bragged, were never meant to be sold to gangsters or used by the Peaky Blinders in street fights. They were bait in a trap Tommy was setting for a much bigger game. Tommy's actual plan was multi-layered and brilliant. 1. Steal the guns. Make enough noise that word spreads throughout Birmingham's underworld. Let drunken Danny Owen brag about it in pubs where IRA sympathizers drink. Make sure everyone in Birmingham knows the Peaky Blinders have military-grade weapons that could change the balance of power. 2. Wait for interested parties. The IRA desperately needs guns for their revolution against British rule. The Royal Irish Constabulary wants to know where dangerous weapons are. Winston Churchill and the British government want them back before they end up arming revolutionaries. Multiple players, all desperately interested in the same weapons, all willing to deal with Tommy to get them. 3. Play them against each other. Use the IRA's interest to leverage deals with the British government. Use British attention to justify killing IRA operatives who threaten the family. Make the guns so valuable and so sought after that everyone comes to Tommy, giving him the power to choose who wins and who loses. And in the process, build connections with real power, not gangsters, but politicians and government officials. Byrne walked into the garrison thinking he was collecting weapons the IRA needed. In reality, he was a piece in Tommy's much larger game with the British Crown. The real game, Tommy's ambition. Byrne was playing small ball, threatening a local gangster, recovering guns for the cause. Standard IRA operations. Tommy was playing for legitimacy, for political connections, for a path out of the streets and into real power. The guns weren't valuable to Tommy as weapons. They were valuable as leverage with Inspector Campbell, who was working for Winston Churchill to recover them. By confessing to Byrne, Tommy accomplished multiple goals. He made Byrne feel victorious. A confession is submission. It made Byrne drop his guard, believe the threat had worked, that Tommy was just another small-time criminal who folded when faced with real power. He set up the kill. By agreeing to unload the burden for the right price, Tommy arranged a follow-up meeting, a place and time where Byrne would return, expecting a transaction, where Tommy could control the environment and eliminate an IRA officer without witnesses. He protected the real plan. By giving Byrne what he wanted, a confession, a price negotiation, Tommy kept him from digging deeper. Byrne left thinking the mystery was solved. He didn't investigate further, didn't realize Tommy was working with the British government. The kill, eliminating the threat. After this meeting, Tommy kills Malachi Byrne. The IRA officer who came to Birmingham to threaten the Peaky Blinders ends up dead in a canal. This wasn't impulsive. This wasn't Tommy losing his temper. This was calculated. Byrne had to die because he knew too much. Tommy had confessed to having the guns. If Byrne lived and told the IRA, they'd send more operatives, better ones. Or worse, they'd tell their sources in the police, and Inspector Campbell would know Tommy was playing both sides. He represented a threat to the family. Death and hell's fury wasn't an idle threat. The IRA could destroy the Peaky Blinders if they chose to. Byrne had to die to send a message. Birmingham is not IRA territory. The Shelbys are not easy prey. They served Tommy's larger strategy. By killing an IRA officer, Tommy proved to Inspector Campbell that he was willing to act against Irish Republicans. This built trust with the British government, the real power Tommy wanted to leverage. The confession was the setup. The kill was the execution. And Byrne never saw it coming because he thought he was threatening a street gang, not negotiating with a future political operator. Why Byrne never saw the trap? Malachi Byrne was a smart, dangerous man. He was a high-ranking IRA member with connections, resources, and experience. He wasn't a fool, but he made fatal assumptions. 1. He underestimated Tommy's ambition. Byrne thought Tommy was a local gangster who wanted to sell stolen guns for profit. He didn't realize Tommy was building relationships with British intelligence, planning political advancement, thinking 10 moves ahead. Tommy wasn't selling guns, he was selling allegiance to the crown. 2. He believed his own intimidation. The speech about judge, jury, and executioner in Death and Hell's Fury was designed to terrify, and it would terrify most people. But Tommy had survived the trenches of France. He'd watched friends die in the mud. The IRA didn't scare him the way Byrne assumed it would. What this reveals about Tommy. This scene is quintessential Tommy Shelby. It shows everything that makes him dangerous: strategic submission, Tommy isn't afraid to appear weak. He confesses. He talks about the guns being a burden. He negotiates price. All of this makes his opponent feel powerful, which makes them careless. Long-term vision. Byrne was thinking about this week's gun shipment. Tommy was thinking about next year's political career. The guns weren't the endgame. They were a tool to build relationships with British power. Ruthless pragmatism. Tommy kills Byrne without hesitation, not out of anger or revenge, out of strategic necessity. Byrne was a problem that needed eliminating, so Tommy eliminated him. Different rules. Tommy doesn't play by the rules his opponents expect. The IRA thinks this is about revolutionary politics and gun running. Tommy makes it about business and British government connections. He changes the game entirely. The final truth. Let me confess something to you, and only to you. I have the guns. This line is perfect, Tommy Shelby. It sounds like surrender. It sounds like a scared gangster admitting defeat to a more powerful organization. But it's actually a trap. Tommy is giving Byrne exactly what he wants, a confession, an admission, the information the IRA came for, because that makes Byrne predictable, controllable, killable. Malachi Byrne walked into the garrison thinking he was collecting guns for the revolution. He was actually volunteering to be a corpse in Tommy Shelby's path to legitimacy. Byrne was playing the game he knew, revolutionary politics, threats, intimidation, gun running for the cause. Tommy was playing a completely different game, using the guns to build relationships with British intelligence, eliminating threats to his family, positioning himself for political power that would take him far beyond Birmingham's streets. And that's what makes Tommy Shelby so dangerous. Not that he's smarter than his enemies, though he often is. Not that he's more ruthless, though he certainly can be. But that he's playing an entirely different game than they realize. He operates on a different level, with different goals, using different rules. When Byrne came to threaten Tommy about guns, he thought the game was simple. IRA versus street gang. Overwhelming force versus local criminals. Revolution versus profit. He never imagined Tommy was building bridges to British intelligence, trading IRA operatives for political connections, using stolen weapons as currency in deals with Winston Churchill's government. By the time they figure out what board they're actually on, the game is already over, and they've already lost.